Yusof is a member of both AIA HQ Toastmasters Club and Metropolitan Bilingual Toastmasters Club. I think it is appropriate to congratulate him or to honor him with some congratulations as he was recently elected as the Division W Director-elect. He has completed one learning path in Pathway in 2020. It's the team collaboration. And this morning, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, he's attempting to complete his second path under presentation mastery. Fellow Toastmasters, Radzi Yusof, Pathway and its relevance to the corporate world, Pathway and its relevance to the corporate world, Radzi Yusof. This platform is yours, Radzi. Take over.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Distinguished Toastmaster Ramdas Naya. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the panel discussion with the topic Pathways and its relevance to the corporate world. We are indeed privileged this morning as we have three panelists who are currently working in corporate sector. Why are they chosen as our panelists this morning? First, they are currently working in corporate sector, and secondly, they have completed at least one learning path in Pathways. Before we begin the session, let me share with you the purpose of the panel discussion. The purpose is for all of us who are Toastmasters in this meeting to learn from our esteemed panelists on how they integrate the learnings from Pathways into their daily work life. Ladies and gentlemen, time is of the essence. The panel discussion will take 30 minutes, followed by Q&A for about 10 minutes. Each panelist, unfortunately, you'll be given 2 minutes to share your experience for each question. We have a question lined up for you. Ladies and gentlemen, our panelists this morning are, in alphabetical order, Toastmaster Azmil Abdul Aziz, Leadership Development Level 5, from Bangsa Toastmasters Club. Let's give him a round of applause. Second, Toastmaster Harpreet Kaur, Innovative Planning Level 5, Presentation Mastery Level 2, from One World Toastmasters Club. Another round of applause. And Karen Koh Li Hong. Karen is a Dynamic Leadership Level 5, and Innovative Planning Level 3. She is from Satu Hati Toastmasters Club. Thank you so much for being our panelists this morning. To all three Toastmasters. The first question, let me ask our panelists to introduce themselves by sharing with us where they work, their first learning path, and how long it took them to complete it. We shall invite the panelists by alphabetical order. First, let us hear from Toastmaster Azmil, to be followed by Harpreet and Karen. Over to you, Toastmaster Azmil.
Well, thank you very much, Radzi, and I'm very happy to be here. Hello, everyone. So my name is Azmil. I am working in BP, but not the blood pressure or not the BHP. It's British Petroleum. I am with the learning coordination team. So what we do in our company is we coordinate training, the compliance, conformance training globally for our employees, but focusing on Asia Pacific. Going to Toastmaster, I've been a member since 2017, and Pathway was introduced not long after I joined. At that point, I chose leadership development as my first pathway. And I've learned a lot, and later maybe I'll explain some of the learning points that I've gained from that completion. And the third question from Radzi is, how long did I take to complete that path? A bit shy to mention this, but it took me 3 years to complete that one pathway. So the audience might be thinking, does it really take that long to complete a path? My answer is no. Now, looking back, I know that I could have completed it much faster. I've got my excuses, and I'm happy to share those excuses if anybody wants to listen. But yeah, what's done is done. I took 3 years to complete one pathway. I'm on another pathway now, and I'm planning to complete within this year. That's it from me. Back to you, Radzi.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Harpreet. I work for an organization that is very well, which is a famous bank in Malaysia. Yes, I work for Maybank. And I joined Toastmasters, which is a community club, One World Toastmasters Club, because Maybank does not have a Toastmasters Club at the moment. So I have been a Toastmaster for approximately 5 years. And my first part was the innovative planning part. And how long did I take to do that part? Well, I do not know whether it's just the right time or too long or too short, but I took 1.5 years to complete the part. Yeah, why did I take 1.5 years? It's not because I had a long break in between, but it's because I was diligently following each and every objective of the part, read the pathways, understood it before I can even take an attempt to do the part. And I'm glad that I have completed the part within 1.5 years. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn to share. Good morning, everyone. I'm Karen. I'm currently working for a company called Plus Solar Systems Sdn Bhd. But when I speak it fast, people tend to hear bus sekolah. Yeah, so apparently I'm working in a solar company providing solar solution to the people, to the market, and that's how renewable energy is being transformed. So why I joined Toastmasters? It was because one of the founders would like to promote me to management level. However, he thought I wasn't ready for that, and he strongly recommended me to join Toastmasters to polish up my leadership skill and my communication skill. And I started in Toastmaster with dynamic leadership path. I joined Toastmaster in July 2017, and I think I'm just good between Azmil and Harpreet. I took 2 years to complete my first path. I thought I was about to say I was aggressively and proactively clubbing and doing my speech. However, Harpreet, she was fantastic. She diligently followed all the objective and she completed in 1.5 years. So I'm just nice between Azmil and Harpreet. Back to you, Moderator Radzi.
Thank you so much to our panelists. As you can see, despite their busy schedule, our panelists, Azmil, took 3 years, Harpreet took 1.5 years, and Karen took 2 years to complete their first part. They did it despite their busy schedule. I completed mine, just like Harpreet, in 18 months. So all of us have our own timeline. I guess it is in alignment with Toastmasters that provide self-paced learning program. We decide how long it takes for us to complete our path. Now, let's move on to our second question. And this time around, I would like to post it to Harpreet first, followed by Karen, and move on to Azmil. Having completed a path, share with us the lessons or learnings in pathways that you can integrate or have already integrated with your office work. Over to you, Harpreet.
Yes, thank you for the question, Radzi. Well, I am actually an IT project manager in Maybank, where I actually deal with lots of people, including my vendors, my stakeholders, my bosses, customers, the users, and all. So I actually do a lot of presentations, and I notice what's problem with me is that my presentations are not properly structured before I joined Toastmasters Club. And after I joined Toastmasters Club and I did the pathways as well as the older manuals, I realized that my speeches in the bank has been more structured, be it a 10 minutes discussion meeting or an hour presentation. I always ensure that I have a great opening, the body, which is points by points, And I have a summary at the end with what I want the audience to take over. So this is something that I have implemented. And besides this, I deal with lots of people and do a lot of projects planning. But however, something new that I learned during my HPL project is that in their project plan, they have got this special plan for the team leaders where they've got the team member delegate the task, the milestone, and the deadline per person, not all in one Excel, you know. So I have actually started implementing it because I noticed that there are people who do not meet the deadline and they kind of not get back to me. So what I do is I implemented this plan from the Toastmasters HPL project, and for each and every individual that I want them to do the task, I will email them in that format. So they know it's dedicated for them. It's not all in one Excel and not for everyone. So it's especially for them. And I see that people are meeting deadlines more often. And the one more thing that I really love in the pathways is the 360-degree evaluation. Wow. I feel that that is something which acts as a good guidelines because there are lots of questions in the 360 degrees evaluations, and I kind of hold myself to follow what the 360 degrees evaluation says. For example, recognize the rewards individual contributes in a manner meaningful to each in team member. So I try to see how can I reward them, how can I motivate them to further do the task better. So there are lots of questions in 360-degree evaluations, and I have used this to ensure that I follow it, and at the end of my projects I pass these 360-degree evaluations to my project team members and get their feedback for me to further improve in my role as an IT project manager. Thank you.
Over to you, Karen.
Thank you, Radzi. When I completed my first path, I was actually work in a department called Learning and Development. It was a new department established in year 2018. So that time I just started to take my first path. So I would say the learnings throughout the first path, especially in level 4, the projects like manage change, questions and answer, managing difficult audiences are so relevant to me. Reason being, that was a new department. We have to do a lot of change transformation, include culture transformation to the entire organization. The time we started to have vision, mission, and even core values crafted in a SME company. So the existing employees in the company, they might have the mindset thinking, we are just SME company. We are not corporate, we are not MNC. We need not have this kind of vision, missions incorporated in our daily life. However, being placed in that department, that's my duty to manage change, to bring in new culture, new mindset to the entire organization and the employee. So I feel very great that I took the right path, because in dynamic leadership, it mainly the core is about change. And I successfully blend in so well, I can literally gel in what I learned in Toastmaster to my work. That's why my colleagues ask me, don't you feel tired? You have to get yourself busy in Toastmaster in work. The thing is, not at all, because whatever I learn in Toastmaster, I can just bring into my work. And that kind of skills, like I say, question and answers, managing difficult audiences, are so practical to me, because being learning and development team is called a backend shared service office. I need to deal with a lot of stakeholders, C-suite level, different managers from different business units. I need to understand what are their business needs, their KPI, their key deliverables. So in daily work, I have to do a lot of conversation. I have to facilitate the conversation, the focus group discussions, the interview sessions between all the managers or even the C-suite. So I find the learnings from how I plant in questions, how I get the answers, how I really apply listening skills, it got me into smoothly. I really say it's really make my work so seamlessly. And I'm glad to say that, because all of these skills I learned and I successfully got performance, very positive and very high grade performance review from my direct superior, and that got me promotion and bonus. So I hope my learning to all of you is really whatever we learn in Toastmaster is not just the skill you can put aside. If we know how to blend in our workplace, it can make us excel in our career. Back to you, Radzi.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen, for sharing with us. And of course, congratulations for that promotion and for the big bonus. We shall now hear from Azmil on question number 2. Yes, over to you.
Thank you, Radzi. So there's a lot of learning points that I've captured during my journey in the first pathway, but I'm going to share 2. One is the project base in pathway. Now, when I complete my pathway, it was like standing on a mountain summit, looking down and wondering, how did I get to the top? And when I realized that it's that project base that got me to the top, I relate that to my working life. Sometimes we get a huge goal from our bosses and we feel overwhelmed. It's wise to then look into that goal and try to break it down into smaller projects. You will be able to complete all the goals if you look at it and take that baby step, one step forward every time. So that's number 1. And I'm going to apply that in my working life moving forward. The second thing that I would like to share with the audience is how we can focus on some of the basics. Don't try to be the great speaker overnight. Same thing in work. Don't try to be jack of all trade and try to do everything at once. Focus on the basics and the small things. What I mean by that is the pitch, the pace, the speech crutches, the purposeful pauses. So all this you will be able to improve while you do this project in Toastmasters. In work, it's that writing skill, that communication skill, the stakeholder skill, how to develop a presentation. So those skills is very, very much relevant to the corporate world. So those are the 2 things, 2 learning points that I think I want to share with the audience. There's a lot more that I've learned for my personal benefit as well. So for now, that 2 first. Back to you, Radzi.
Thank you so much to all our 3 panelists. If I can just summarize what they have shared with us. Harpreet, being in IT, you owe it to your high performance leadership program, of which you shared with your colleagues about the format in HPL as well as your 360 feedback. That's very good. Yeah, of which you have become more effective in that area. And for Karen, being in L&D, you shared with us about the particular path, the dynamic leadership that you did, of which in this example, you were sharing with us about one particular project that is on managing difficult audience, of which you were in charge on the managing change in the office, of which I had congratulated you for achieving good performance from your superior. And of course, Azmil shared with us about the project base and going back into basic. These are the 2 learnings that he shared with us in his first path that he did in his Toastmasters journey. So check on the time. We have used about 18 minutes of our time. So let us now move on to the 3rd question. My 3rd question, first I would like to pose it to Karen, followed by Azmil, then after that followed by Harpreet. Question number 2 is, do you think that you have become more effective at work after completing your path or after being a Toastmaster for over a year?
Thank you.
All right, over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Radzi, for your question. My answer is very direct and straightforward. Definitely yes. I become more effective at work after complete my path and also after being Toastmaster for more than 3 years. Let me just share with everyone why I have this reflection. I used to be someone super proud of myself because I can talk. I really can talk. So I thought that being able to talkative is someone I can literally survive in anywhere. However, through Toastmaster, I learned that being able to talk and being able to talk effectively, being able to influence people effectively, they are different things. And I learned that being able to talk doesn't mean every sentence from mine is going to be effective, is going to be meaningful. So I learned that we need to speak precisely and concisely. And that's where I noticed myself being more effective in delivering my message, especially from my superior. They noticed and they gave me these compliments saying that you used to speak a lot, but we realized your change is you're able to summarize and give us compact information. And that we started to practice in the organization. We call it one phrase statement. What would you like to tell us? What is the key message? So that is the biggest learning for myself, being to structure my thought well, being to deliver what I really want to say it out. And also at the same time, I noticed my time management become better. I used to think that, all right, I can just speak whatever during the meeting with my customers. I just maximize my time spending with my customers, so-called engagement. Naively, I thought that way. But I realized also through Toastmaster, we were only given certain period of time to deliver our message, to really influence and lead our customers or even our audiences. And from there, I learned that time management is very important. The first impression, how I would like my stakeholders really understand the objective for any discussions that we are. And last but not least, I also learned that myself having this positive change, I used to be a very task-oriented person. I did not care about human feelings. For me, coming to work, I just want to complete my task. I just want to end the day and go home. So some of my colleagues did say this way to me that you are not a human, Karen. But ever since I joined in Toastmaster and being in the part of the learning development team, I started to develop myself, cultivate myself being more human-centric. So the kind of empathy, I keep on consciously remind myself, they are human, we are people, so let's talk in a human way. And that's how I realize I get more friendly, approachable. And I would like to say that all these kind of changes really make me more confident. And that's how Toastmaster education path mentioned to us that confidence is unique because it cannot be taught, but it is gained in every path. And thankful I have completed my dynamic leadership, and that's the changes, the growth that I have seen myself. Over to you, Radzi.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing with us. I guess when I met you, you are already very much a human instead of a superhuman that you used to be. Well, thank you for sharing with us that the fact that you have become more effective, of which you are being able to talk more effectively, and you are more concerned about time management. And of course, you become more people-oriented. So let's hear from Azmil.
All right, thank you, Radzi. So the question is, do I think that I have become more effective at work? My answer is definitely, and not just me saying, because my communication at work have not only improved, but visibly improved. That means I've got people coming to me and said, wow, your presentation was such and such. And I feel good. One of the two things that I realize is by controlling my pace, I become more clear. By removing the filler words, I sound more confident. So those simple adjustments makes a whole lot different. But more than that is coming back to the project base that I mentioned earlier. There are a few projects that really help me in my work. So I'll give a few examples. Forming a team. There was a project in level 3, if I'm not mistaken, forming a team. So I learned a little bit of how do you engage with a team, whether this is a group of SME, subject matter experts, or a new person that you have never met before. The second project that helps me a lot is communicating task delegation. So now I learned the technique on how to give that delegation more effectively to my team members. Conduct purposeful meeting was another project. Handling Q&A was another project. All this actually helps me to be more effective at work. So I think by doing those projects, I'm not only delivering project speeches for Toastmasters, but I'm also improving my own work environment. That's it from me, Radzi.
Well, thank you so much to our panelist Azmil for sharing with us, among others, about communicating tasks and delegation, conduct purposeful meeting, and of course, handling a Q&A. Let's hear from Harpreet. Over to you, Harpreet.
Thank you, Radzi. Of course, definitely. It's not only me, I would say. I can assure you that every Toastmasters would have become more effective in their work. In fact, not only in their work, but also with people around them, be it with other socials or even with their families. And you know what actually really helped me in my work? Basically, these two parts: understanding your leadership style and understanding your communication style. And it's not only understanding my leadership and my communication style, but I use that to analyze people that I relate with. For example, my HOD, I analyze what kind of leadership style does he have. And I noticed that he is authoritative and pace setting. He wants to the point, to the goal, numbers. So I do not waste my time to go and say grandmother stories like how I normally do. So I go to the point, give him the figures, and tell him exactly what it is. Wow, I see a lot of difference. He is happier with me. And to say that, Harpreet, you are getting to the point right now. So that has actually helped me. And also understanding the communication style. I see how people are. Are they direct? Are they supportive? So if they are more supportive type, I would actually go and talk to them, engage with them more. But if I see that they are very direct type, then I go direct to the point. So that's how the communication style as well as the leadership style in Toastmasters Pathway has really helped me. And one more thing I would like to share, I don't know whether you realize, Radzi, but all three of us panelists have something in common. You know what that is? We are all in the learning team. Yes, though I am an IT project manager, but I manage IT for the Maybank Learning Program. So the whole works of the IT of Learning Program. And when I implement this, there are people who understand or who have problems when they run their learning program. And when they launch their learning portal, they have problems. And when my staffs are not able to answer them, especially difficult audiences, they will pass those people to me. And these are normally the top management. And having had gone through the manage difficult audience, I learned how to understand their problem and manage it in such a way. You know how people are when they have a problem, they just go bombarding with all sorts of words, but I managed to cool them down and be happy at the end. And I think that is a great trait that I have learned from Toastmasters. So I would like to thank Toastmasters and Pathways to have guided me to be a better person by understanding the leadership, the communication style, as well as managing difficult audiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harpreet, for sharing with us about your experience. And of course, when it comes to understanding leadership style and understanding communication style, these are the two pillars of Toastmasters: communication and leadership. And we are here to improve our skills in these two areas. Well, looking at the time, it is now green. So we may not have the time for the next question. In fact, I have lined up another 2 questions, but unfortunately, time is not on our side. I shall end the session now. I would like to summarize of what we have learned from our session today. Thank you so much again to all our 3 panelists who have shared with us how long it took them to complete their first path. And of course, we all have our own timeline. We cannot be detected by anyone on how long it takes us to complete it. For the next question, Harpreet was sharing with us that her presentation has become better. And of course, thanks to project like High Performance Leadership Project, and of course the 360 degree feedback session, that has made her become more effective at work. And for Karen, thank you so much for sharing with us on your experience of completing your dynamic leadership. That was your first path. And of course, managing difficult audience, you learn a lot from it. And I wish you have become better with your performance. And as for Azmil, he shared with us about his project based on how to get to the top, and of course, break it into smaller pieces and back to being understanding the basic. And of course, I shared with you just now about the 3 things that they have shared in the last question, for them to become more effective at work, for Karen, Azmil, as well as Harpreet. Thank you so much again for joining us. We shall now move on to the Q&A session. Of course, in the interest of time, we will open 2 questions to the members of the audience. If you have any question, please use the reaction button by raise your hand, and we shall unmute you. Shall we welcome the first question? You can direct it to any of the panelists or to all of them with your questions. Do we have anyone who raised their hand?
Yes, Radzi, Grace here.
Yes, hi Grace, yes. All right, over to you.
Thank you very much all the panelists for sharing your experience on how you complete your pathway. Now, we often hear a lot of challenges faced by the corporate club member where they do not have time to deliver their speeches. Can you all share, how you overcome your challenge, even you take 1.5 years or 3 years to complete your path? Can you all share any panel? How do you plan your time and manage your time to do your speeches despite your busy schedule?
Maybe I can take that,
yes.
Radzi, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Azmil.
So thank you very much, Grace, for that wonderful question. So among the 3 of the panelists, I was the one who took 3 years to complete. And guess what? One of my excuse was time. So I took 3 years because I don't have time. Now, what I've realized is it's not really the time constraint. It's the mindset of not planning. Because when I was going through my first pathway, I don't know what's the next project going to be. So it's like a surprise every time I open. So level 1 I've completed, and then I go to level 2, and then I got surprised. And it took me time to digest and have the momentum. What I'm doing differently now is looking at the path as a whole first, coming up with a plan on how do I want to address or to deliver those projects. And I allocate small portion of time from my work life to deliver my speeches. So to summarize my answer, Grace, sometimes it's not really about the time. It's about the mindset and about the planning. That's personal lesson from myself. And I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Azmil. Can we hear from perhaps Harpreet? Would you like to add?
Yeah, basically, I agree with what Azmil have said. It's the mindset. And I would say that where there is a will, there is definitely a way. You know what I do? I normally write down my speeches. Actually write it down. And if I do not have time, what I would do is I would try to write the beginning, the opening first. And then, I don't know, somehow early in the morning, like around 4 to 6 o'clock, while I'm still half asleep, having had that initial idea of the opening, somehow at that time, ideas just keep coming on my head. And what do? I quickly pen them down. And when I have that time, I would actually structure it into my complete speech. And only when I'm ready, then I will inform my VPE that I am ready to deliver my speech. And with that, believe it or not, sometimes just a simple speech would take me 2 weeks. And if it's a project, it will take me even longer to complete. But nevertheless, baby steps really helps you, especially when you really do not have the time to write the whole thing. Start small, start a little, and you will be amazed with all the ideas that just comes in. So where there is a will, there is definitely a way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, if there is a will, there is a way. I agree with that as well. Can we hear from Karen? Anything would you like to add?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Radzi, and thanks for the questions from Grace. I echo with what Azmil mentioned about the excuse of time. Personally, I'm a person who would like to plan things ahead. For example, right now I'm in a direction of getting my DTM. I already planned it. I want to get it next term. So I usually plan ahead when I want to deliver my speech and when can I be role players. I set a target when I joined Toastmasters. I set a target for my first path for 2 years to complete it. So I understand that if I just do my speech in the club, having the members being actively deliver speech, I might not have the slots to deliver my speech. So what I do next is I understand from my VPE that time, he encouraged me that I can do clubbing by being role players in other clubs. And sometimes some clubs, they might have some slots would like to give out to club members from the other clubs. So that's how I know more people. I network from there. And whenever the VPE from the other clubs, they have slots, they will just ask me, would you like to be the speaker in our club? And that's how I plan ahead 2 years. And I know insufficient slots in my club. And my action is I go and approach the other clubs. I network with the people and I got the slots in return. And that's how I successfully complete my one path in 2 years. So I would say, of course, from ourselves is we need to control whatever we can. At the same time, we need to leverage on the resources that we have. We know that in Toastmasters, we have people, we have network, and that's where we can actually helping each other. They also need role players, the other club members, and we also need some kind of support and different learning as well. So that's how we all can grow together in a community like this.
Thank you so much, Karen.
The questions. Thank you.
I think you did.
Grace,
Grace, I hope all of them answered your question. Well, unfortunately, looking at the time again, we may not be able to have another question. If I were to summarize of the answer just now, of which I agree with the panelists, it's all about planning and changing the mindset. If I were to share my own experience, it took me 1.5 years. When I did it, when I draft my speech, sometimes I do it early in the morning. So that's the best time for me to do it. I wake up early in the morning, about 3 or 4. So that's the time for me to draft it. And sometimes I rehearse it on the way to work in the train. I get a lot of things done in the morning. I'm very much a morning person. I echo very much with all the panelists here. It is all about planning ahead, and it's all about changing the mindset. The thing that we can control, do take control and do take charge. Thank you so much, the panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we come to the end of our panel session this morning. Thank you so much again to our panelists, Toastmaster Azmil, Toastmaster Harpreet, and Toastmaster Karen for being with us this morning. I hope all of us here in the audience learn 1 or 2 from them on how to become more effective, on how we in corporate sector can also complete the learning path that we have chosen. It's all about planning. It's all about changing the mindset. If there is a will, there is a way. I agree with you, Harpreet, on that matter. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end the session. I shall now pass the control back to our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much again to our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.